Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey, y'all. It's me, Tamara. Clap, 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 clap. Still not back in the studio yet, y'all. But thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the show. Listen, am I on time again? Am I back to myself where my episodes just drop on the day they're supposed to drop? Is that really how we getting down again? Time will tell, but look at me on time, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the show. To all my new listeners, new episodes drop every Thursday. In Jesus' name, we just gonna say we back to the drop date, you feel me? And I usually talk about my life, my interests, and the ways I'm trying to grow. So, come on back through. And to all of my day 1, 2, 67, 145, you could have came in at week 199 because y'all, it's episode 204. You feel me? We've gone 204 weeks straight with content. But whatever week you came in and you decided that you wanted to just continue to listen and all that good stuff, man, shout out. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm honest, I actually have really enjoyed not having to worry about visuals for this show. It's not going to stay like this. I promise y'all we will get back to visuals at some point. I cannot tell you when that will be, but it will get back to it. But y'all getting content, so isn't that really all that matters? You know what I'm saying? But I will just say it has been very it's been great just not even having to worry about visuals and just have the mic, and it's just very okay, let's talk about how my phone is definitely on do not disturb. However, my kids are on bypass. And so it's just really unfortunate. They will always be on emergency bypass, but it's just funny because, that's Kayliana calling and I'll call her back. But yeah, anywho, it's been actually really, just reminiscent of when I first started where I didn't have to worry about visuals. Obviously, things have progressed beyond that. Technically, I have my audio mixer, so I could, you know what I'm saying? But I just, for right now, don't really feel like doing all of that. But even if I was, it's I've come a long way from where I started, but there's just something very, I don't know, freeing about not having to worry about visuals right now and just being able to just worry about what I got to say and not worry about where I'm looking and all that stuff. So, y'all, let's talk about Gizzy Wizzy F Baby. It's so funny because his name is Gizmo, obviously. What you over there doing? But I be calling him Gizzy Wizzy F Baby, Gizzy Wizzy, and he knows that all of those are his names. I don't know where the other two names came from, but you know how nicknames just come and it just is what it is. But let's talk about Gizmo's growth in life, y'all, because so Gizmo sleeps in a sleeping kennel. It's like a softer material than his regular metal kennel, which I'm actually going to be getting him a different type of when I'm out in these streets and he's in his kennel because him in this metal kennel is really getting on my nerves. But when it's time for bed, he sleeps in my room and he sleeps in a different type of material kennel that is really soft. It has a net door or whatever that zips down. And so, he's 1 in a few months, you know what I'm saying? He's, 14 months. And so I'm you're getting older. You're, I'm just, trying to give him a little bit more freedom, give him a little bit more, let's see how you'll do, right? So the past few nights, I have not zipped the door closed on his kennel because, like, I know he's not going to pee or poop in the house, so I'm not worried about that. And when I started really thinking about it, he's not really a dog that tears stuff up. You know what I mean? He has his toys, but when it's nighttime, he's really just going to be going to bed. You know what I'm saying? And and he actually likes his sleeping kennel. He has his blanket in there. Sometimes he be just going in there when I think he just wants to relax when we be in the room, right? And so I'm like, okay, let me see how you do. And y'all, he has done okay. You know what I'm saying? To where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let you have this little freedom. You feel me? Now, if he was in a different part of the house and not in my room, I don't know that I really trust him like that. Also, he would probably just be clawing at the door to try to be where I'm at anyway, or sit outside the door and look underneath it because he's super clingy, but he has not done anything he shouldn't be doing. He'll be in there laying down. Now, if I get up to go to the bathroom, if y'all hear his little squeaker toy, it just is what it is. You know he's here. He's just trying to be a part of the show too. But if I get up to go to the bathroom, he will like get up and, you know, see what's going. Okay, no, you don't need to do all that. You Gizmo, look at me. You see this mic. Why do you do this every time I get on the mic? Right. You have a mom who records content. I need you to act like my other children and act like you know what it is. Anywho, so, and it's the fact that he don't care. No, stop. So anywho, yeah, this is what we've been experimenting with. He's done well. Now the first night, because he has food in a couple different areas in the house. So the first night I did wake up to him eating at 4 something in the morning. And I just was like, whatever, crunch, crunch, crunch is what I woke up to hearing. And when I woke up to go to the bathroom, stop it. And so I was just like, okay, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, he's been cool. And then I've been experimenting with, now typically I don't just leave him in the room, like not in a kennel, like if I'm leaving the room or whatever. And the main reason is because he scratches at the door, and, you know, I'm not trying to have him tear up people's property. But I have been experimenting with now I wouldn't do it at this point if I left the house, because I definitely don't trust him like that. But I have been experimenting with giving him a little bit more freedom with that, and telling him no, and telling him don't touch this door. And for the most part, he'll listen when I say that. So yeah, he's growing up out here. You know, maybe at some point it could be that I leave the house and he has freedom, but we definitely not there yet, because no, you know what I'm saying? Especially because he be tripping when I leave and is upset. So yeah. But yeah, that's Gizmo, little update. And then outside of that, we are gonna be in a transition state where, just long story short, you know, all of my kids are grown, Kaliana, and, you know, the baby will be here, and this, that, and the other. And we've just done a lot of different talking, and things have just come up. And so it's going to be where we're in this transition state where, like, people are getting now, like, we know Janae moved out in April, and the other two are going to be getting their own places. And so, I'm going to be, we're not in the house. Like, I'm going to be moving elsewhere, but I'm going to be like living by myself with Gizmo. And man, like, it's so wild. And I'm so glad I have Gizmo. Like, that was the best thing that I didn't even know I really needed. That I always said I wanted to get a dog once they all graduated, because I knew I've literally been a mom since I was 19. I have never lived alone actually. And so I'm never alone with him, you know what I mean? And so like that definitely was such a smart choice on my part to get Gizmo and have him help with the transition of just them being grown anyway, but especially now that like I'll be living on my own, you know, it'll be good for me, right? Because isn't that what we want? We want our kids to grow up and go out into the world and be on their own and all this good stuff. But at the same time, it's been very just interesting as I just really think about it, because I'm like, wow, I mean, even though technically Gizmo will be there, but I actually never have lived alone. Now I'm not someone who can't be alone, so I'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? I'll get me like a little 2-bedroom so that I could have still the office studio space. I would not want that to be in my room. We'll see where things land, but as I think about what I want, if it's going to just be me, it's so funny because I've said like I want a ranch style house, but I don't want it to have a basement. So I just want like a 1-level house, no basement, no upstairs, whatever. And so I was talking to a friend of mine and he was like, well, have you thought about like like a 2-bedroom apartment? And at first I was like, I don't know about that because like, because Gizmo, like when he hears people or whatever, it's like he barks and I just feel like that would stress me out. But when I think about it, well, the point he made was, well, then you just need to be in an apartment that doesn't have thin walls. Okay, points were made, you know what I'm saying? But it's like when I think about it honestly though, like even being in a house, if Gizmo hears stuff outside, he'd be barking. So it's kind of like really my reasons for like not wanting to be in an apartment, it's not anything more than that, you know what I'm saying? Not a fan always of everybody being right there, but at the same time, it's not, you know, it's not that deep. And that would actually just make things easier for me. Like, I don't need a bunch of unused space. I obviously need somewhere that's spacious enough to where I don't feel crowded because I don't want that. But I mean, I don't need definitely a big old house for sure. And don't even really need, because then I'll have to worry about like yard work and all that stuff that I really don't want to be bothered with anyway. You know what I mean? So like, we'll see where we land. I'll keep y'all updated on that because we're like in that transition stage now. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of how, I guess the things that I will talk about on here. There's more stuff that it's always timing, right? Because you never want to talk about stuff too soon. You never want to tell people things too soon. You never want to like move too fast. I'm really at this place where I'm just really trying to just be in tune with God's timing. Now it's not easy because in some of the things that are going on in my life right now, I feel like there should be more urgency on them than it seems like God feels like it should be. And so that's not always easy, but it has never been disproven that his timing is always perfect. Like his timing is always perfect. Even when I get extremely frustrated in waiting for something, his timing is always perfect. But it's so interesting because I've really been trying to lately, because there are things that are happening now in my life that were things I prayed to happen. But it's so easy it's so easy to always be focused on like man, I can't wait till this, and like not be content and not be satisfied with where you're at, right? Because let's say, okay, let's say I want to be married, right? Because I do, like, I do want to remarry. Okay, so let's say I want to be married and I'm not dating anyone, but let's say I was to start dating someone, it would be so easy to not even be content with the fact of, oh man, I was single for a long time and now I actually am in a relationship with someone. It would be so easy to not be content with that simply because, well, I want to be married, right? And so, like I said, none of that is a thing. I'm not in a relationship or anything like that. But my whole point is that I have really been in just different areas of my life. I have really been trying to be thankful for what is, because I really am, despite there is so much like unknowns and so much, there's a lot happening in my life right now. But despite all of that, there's so many good things that are happening right now that are like things I specifically prayed to be happening. And it's so interesting because I find myself, because it's not all the way where I want or hope it will be, then I find myself having to remind myself that I'm actually walking in a season of answered prayers. And so, yeah, I guess that's my encouragement to you. If you are waiting for whatever you're waiting for, because it feels like there's always something, there's always some goal, there's always some hope, desire, whatever that I'm waiting for, and you probably could relate to that. And so my encouragement to you is like, take inventory though of what you should be thankful for. With the creative team, one of the things that we do, well, not everyone has to do this, but one of the things that some of us do is it's called stand up. And so, long story short, in this channel on Slack, we have to post what we worked on yesterday, what we're working on today, any blocks that we have. So those are the things that we need to post. Because when we used to have stand up Zoom calls or whatever, it would typically start with everyone sharing one thing they're thankful for. And so technically I don't have to post anything that I'm thankful for anymore, but I have continued to practice doing that. And I'm actually glad that I have, because right now in this season, I have found that it's so easy for me to focus on all the things that are not the way that I want them to be, that when I have to sit down and type out what I'm thankful for, I actually have to think about that. And it really just keeps my perspective in the right place of, even though there are so many things that are going on that I would love for them to be different, or I would love for them to have progressed further or move further or whatever. So even though there are plenty of things like that in my life, at the same time, there's always something to be grateful for. There's always something that I need to be thankful for. And so that's always been something that I've done in some form or fashion. It used to be that I would sit down every week and write down one thing that I was grateful for from the week. And then on January 1st, I would read them all just to kind of reflect on the year. And I kind of got away from that when we moved. I got away from that when we moved out of actually the apartment that we were in. And I actually need to get back to that. You know what I'm saying? Just because it's just good practice to, make sure you have an attitude of gratitude. It's good practice to pause and reflect and not just be so focused on like, what am I working towards, or what do I wish would be better in this area or whatever. It's just such good practice to take inventory of like, what am I thankful for? What is going well? It really, literally, truly, regardless of what the circumstances are, and I can say this confidently, not knowing what you're going through or whatever, but it really could always be worse. It really could, even with as much unknowns and as much whatever is going on in my life right now. It honestly could be worse. And honestly, there's good happening. Like, I wish I could talk about some of the good, but it's too soon to talk about that. So God is just God is doing a lot to just, man, heal, redemption. Yeah, so much healing is happening right now. And like, there are like specific people in my life that for whatever reason, like, God is using them to bring about healing. And I can't wait until we get to the point where I can talk more specifically about it, because it's not anything I'm going to forget, because it's a ever going process like right now. So it's not something that I'm going to forget once I can finally talk about it. But I wish I could talk more in depth about it, because man, God is so in the details. God is so strategic. God is so intentional. And man, it's so wild, because this season is, I'm not going to say it's the wildest season. It kind of is. It is a very, very interesting season of life right now, man. But I've never felt God's presence more tangibly than I do now. And I know God has softened my heart so much. And it's kind of weird, because I know that because I cry a lot more, and it's not even necessarily crying at something bad or painful. It's just, like I've said before, I'll oftentimes go to church or whatever event we're having that I'm serving at early and just sit while the worship team rehearses. And I just find myself that worship music, even when I'm listening to it with my AirPods and I'm like in the presence of the Lord, it just really, I just tangibly feel his presence more than before. And it just, I don't know, brings tears, just because I'm such a different person than I was. And my heart has just been healed of so many things. You know what I mean? And so I remember, you know, and one day I may go back and listen to, I don't know though, because listening to the sound of my voice, I don't even know how y'all do it. Like, I cannot stand listening to the sound of my voice. So I don't know if I'm gonna actually do this, but I might go back through and like listen to old episodes, because I know at the beginning of this show, I was talking about how hard it was to be vulnerable. Literally, I think the first episode is called Vulnerability Ill. And I used to struggle with that so much. And, you know, we're coming up on 4 years, which that's crazy. And just even how much I've grown in the last 6 months, as I've had to like really be honest about different fears and insecurities and wounds I've had, and really decide, am I going to just let that be how I am, or am I going to let God heal that area so I can be who I was created to be, right? Because I was not created to be somebody who operates out of woundedness. And so these last 6 months have been just very pivotal in my heart and life. And it's been super interesting. And I really wish I could talk more about it. I will, you know what I mean? I will at a later date for sure. I know I will. But yeah, God is really good. So yeah, that is what I have for y'all this week. As I always say, make sure you take care of yourself mentally. Make sure you are taking care of yourself emotionally. Make sure you are taking care of yourself spiritually. You know, one of the things that I do every day on that note, I mean, yeah, I've talked about, you know, I read my Bible and all that stuff. But man, my prayer life lately has been to the 10th power, you know what I mean? And I was someone who prayed every day anyway, but I've even been like today, for example, I was like, you know what? Because I'm not going to say that I was always do this. I would pray every day, but I would oftentimes, especially because my phone is my alarm clock, I would definitely check notifications before I would pray. And today I was like, you know what? I need to be more disciplined in the fact that I don't need to worry about what's on social media before I really set the tone for my day. Like prayer helps me set the tone for my day, because one of the things I do as part of my prayer is ask the Lord to, you know, fill me with his spirit, fill me with his peace, fill me with his joy. And then that's how I can go out into the world and just kind of encounter and, you know, whatever I'm going to encounter, but also navigate amidst. It is a very tough season for me right now. So yeah, make sure you are taking care of yourself spiritually. Make sure you are taking care of yourself physically, and make sure you're being healthy in your relationships, and like taking care of yourself in those other areas, especially taking care of yourself emotionally and spiritually, really helps you to interact with you people in a healthy way, to have healthy relationships. So that is my encouragement to y'all. I love y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for